From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Senate further extends implementation of 2024 capital budget from June 30th to December 31st, 2025. 1 week, one trouble. Social Democratic Party suspends national chairman over allegations of financial misconduct. Fragile peace in the Middle East as Israel and Iran agree to ceasefire amid backlash from President Trump.
In business, Nigeria and Brazil set to sign more than 30 memoranda of understanding across strategic sectors.
And in sport, former Super Eagles forward Ojo Igalo backs Victor Osimhen to succeed as speculation about Napoli striker's next career move rise.
Welcome. Tonight begins now. We begin tonight from the upper chamber, where in a swift legislative move, the Nigerian Senate has passed two executive bills seeking to extend the capital implementation of the 2024 budget and the duration of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund. The accelerated process, which saw both bills scale all three readings in one day, raised concerns over delays in procurement and completion of payment by ministries, departments and agencies. News Centre's National Assembly correspondent, Sagie Ibrahim, has more.
The Senate resumed Tuesday's plenary after a month-long recess with a packed order paper. However, proceedings commenced on a somber note as Niger South Senator Peter Jia, in a motion of urgent national importance, updated lawmakers on the recent flood disaster which hit Mokwa town in May.
The Senate further urged the federal government to prioritize the execution of the relief packages promised during the visit of the Vice President.
All of his motions and prayers were adopted and a minute silence observed in honor of the deceased.
Rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Topping the day's agenda is the extension of the capital component of the 2024 Appropriation Act from June 30 to December 31st, 2025. After passing first reading, Senate suspended Rule 78 Sub 1 to expedite the bill's second reading. Leading the debate, Chairman of the Appropriations Committee says that the extension will allow MDA's complete procurement and release processes already in motion.
Due to some projects which are yet to be funded and implemented, we find it very important to come before these ALO chambers that this budget be extended by further 6 months.
However, debate on the bill drew mixed reactions from lawmakers.
There are so many projects, some ministries where even no work has been done in terms of going through the appropriation processes. We need it to be guided by facts on the ground. What is happening is not backed by facts. I have no problem. There is necessity for us to address this issue, extend it, but we cannot continue extending all the time. Today has not given compelling reasons why this extension has become necessary. Maybe there is too much preoccupation with politics and 2027. Maybe there is too much concentration on receiving defectors all across the country.
Presiding officer Barrow Jibrin explained that the extension has become necessary for government to meet up with its obligations.
I understand your feelings. I understand the fact that you have so many projects ongoing, like those roads. Roads. So many contractors have done, the artwork, remaining, the asphalt to put asphalt, but they don't have the money to do that. And once we don't extend the budget, it means those projects will be left abandoned.
The Senate subsequently referred to the Committee of Supply for clause-by-clause consideration. Rule 78 Sub 1 was again suspended to allow for the third reading, and the bill was passed. In a similar development, the chamber considered and passed the Nigeria Police Trust Fund Amendment Bill seeking to extend the duration of the trust fund from 6 to 12 years. Without opposition, the bill was read for the second and third time following the required suspensions of Senate Rule 78, Sub 1.
It is imperative that the duration of the trust fund is further extended in view of its laudable achievements to ensure that the Nigeria Police is well equipped to face emerging security challenges.
Both bills at various levels of legislation in the House of Representatives now awaits concurrence by the Green Chamber before heading to the President for assent. In Abuja for News Central, Sagir Ibrahim.
Sagir joins us now for further update. Sagir, what the extension of the budget sort of sent away every other conversation that happened at the Senate. Run us through the plenary and how the extension happened.
Good evening, Felicity. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. So the issue of the extension of the 2024 budget indeed raised some concerns on the floor of plenary today, where we saw lawmakers respond to the extension of the implementation of its timeline. Of course, the major concern being the fact that 2025 is not the fiscal year for the implementation of the 2024 budget. A lot of them had raised concerns, about why the implementation of the budget is taking so much time, especially considering the fact that there are the capital component which is being asked for extension has not been extensively implemented as it should be. These lawmakers also raised concerns around what they describe as big execution capacity within ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government, stating also that if they fail to do something about it, which includes inviting the Minister of Finance and also the Accountant General of the Federation to answer before them why this has taken the course that it has taken, they may also be seen, as a laughingstock and even maybe an embarrassment upon themselves. So this is basically the conversation that went on the floor of the Senate earlier today when the extension motion was brought, the extension amendment was brought before.
Beyond the Senate passing the bill to extend the implementation of the 2024 budget, what transpired at the floor of the upper house?
So initially, before the conversation started, as you saw in my reports, there were also the issue of the sad situation in Mokwa and the casualties that was recorded as a result of that. Niger South Senator Peter Jia had raised these concerns on the floor through a motion of urgent national attention, calling on the federal government and also relief agencies to provide relief materials to those who have been affected by the flooding in Niger State. Also, there was the bill to amend the Police Trust Fund Act to ensure its extension from its initial 6-year plan to around 12 years to allow for training and provision of equipment for these officers to be provided. That also saw an accelerated passage of first, second, and third reading on the same day after, of course, Senate Rule 78 Sub 1 was suspended temporarily to allow for its expedient passage. So these were basically the issues that went on today on the floor of the Senate. But the extension of the timeline for the implementation of the 2024 budget, of course, has been the bone of contention because of the failure, like some of them mentioned, of the federal government to meet up with the obligation of ensuring that it ends in the fiscal year that it was passed.
Before I let you go, the House of Representatives is yet to pass the same for a third reading. What stalls that decision and what should we expect from the lawmakers when they reconvene on Wednesday?
Now, for the House of Representatives, the bill scaled first and second reading. Today, the committee report was laid before a plenary at the House, and then the Speaker of the House of Representatives committed the bill to the Committee of Supply. That was the much traction the bill gained in terms of legislative action. The expectation now would be in the coming days, probably in the next legislative day, we may see the bill scale third reading, and then, of course, what would follow would be concurrence by both the House and, of course, the Senate before the bill is transmitted to the executive for presidential assent.
Sagir, thank you for speaking with us.
Pleasure being on.
For further discussion on this, I'm joined now by Chartered Accountant Olusegun Okunade and economist Dr. Samson Simon. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Okay, I understand we don't have Olusegun yet, so we'll stick with Dr. Simon and just start with this extension. Nigeria is now operating two budgets, 2024 and 2025, within a single fiscal year. The first time ever, to my knowledge. What does this mean for the country's finances, fiscal discipline, and what kind of implications could we see if this administration doesn't make it beyond 2027?
This is not the first time that we're running at least two budgets concurrently, maybe the extension till the end of the year. But since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board, that has been the norm. Last year, we had something similar, or even worse, because we were talking about the current that year's budget, the supplementary budget, the previous year's budget, the supplementary budget of the previous year. So it's becoming the norm, and it doesn't really augur well, because the global best practice is it shouldn't be like that. You should not have overlapping budgets. But there is an upside to it. What is the upside? The government feels that there are some projects, particularly capital projects, that should have been executed, which were not executed, and they're determined to finish those projects. That is a good thing. However, it has so many downsides. It shows a lack of discipline. It shows a lack of efficiency. It also shows a lack of proper planning and execution of the budget. So I feel the ideal should still be pursued. If you look at the gold standard for budgeting in Singapore, for example, they don't do overlapping fiscal or annual budgets in a year. They try to make sure that their budgets are executed within the particular year, and they deliver almost 100% results. What stops us from doing the same thing? If we are finding it difficult, we can learn from them. Every item, every line item of the budget should be guided by data, and there should be proper monitoring to ensure that this budget is being executed. And we should not confuse a framework, which is okay. But when you are doing annual budgets and you are making them to overlap, it doesn't really, you don't come across as really serious, as really disciplined. And I think we need to work on that. We cannot continue in that trajectory. We cannot continue like that. We have to change course and ensure that things are done properly and that we're disciplined, that we're efficient, and we don't take anything for granted.
We had a guest earlier when the news broke who said the procedure is outrightly unconstitutional and illegal. Is that true? And does the fact that the legislation was rushed through quickly, we had all three readings in one day, does that also portray that position?
Well, I'm not a legal practitioner, but from my knowledge of budget is a law, and that's why it becomes an act, appropriation act. So if it is a law, it's supposed to be followed as the law states it. And when the law is being passed, it's stated that it's for a particular fiscal year. So if it's extending, I think what some people that do something similar to what we do, they try to formalize it and make it legal. So that is another aspect of it that the authorities need to consider. But I think the best thing is to do away with such things as much as possible. We should have projects that we know we can execute. If our capital expenditure or the capital part of the budget is not being executed well or is underperforming, we need to find where the problem is and resolve it. But we cannot afford to continue to execute budgets like this. It doesn't augur well. It's not global best practice. It undermines our fiscal system entirely. And it's not really good. I know the authorities are carried away by the fact that there are benefits, but the downside outweigh the benefits that we get from such process.
Yeah, talking about the downside, let me quickly confirm that we now have Chartered Accountant Olusegun Okunade. Thank you for being here. Talking about, keeping things going. The 9th National Assembly introduced the January to December budget cycle. And one of the reasons given was to ensure fiscal discipline and enhance budget performance. Now, the first budget extension of this administration was in June. That not only stalled the budget cycle, but it has also made it open-ended. Now we have this further extension. Considering the pace of contract implementation, coupled with the fact that monies budgeted cannot be deemed appropriated in this country because some form of lobbying will have to happen before funds are released. That much we know. Are we ever getting back on track with the January to December budgeting cycle, or we're starting this whole process from scratch?
And good evening. Thanks for having me this evening. In response to your question, sincerely speaking, what we have happening now, people like me will consider it absurd as a finance person, knowing fully well that the kind of budget and fiscal policy we operate in the country is an annual thing which speaks from January to December. And we give that kudos to the last administration that were able to mend things. I think in 2020, we struggled to come back to January to December budgetary process. But this that we are having overlapping, it brings so many questions to bear. In what way are we going to fund the current budget that was actually passed when we know that we are still going to continue with 2024 budget? Why did we go ahead in passing 2025 budget? I know a lot of government functionaries is hiding under the medium-term expenditure plan, which gives room for multi-year. But that we must inculcate into our law to say we are shifting away from the annual budget to a multi-year planning where we cannot have it. But in as much as the current dispensation of what our law stipulates as per budget, it's an annual budget which runs from January to December. And this that we are having, I'm sure when this came up last year and they had to extend to June this year because it was considered that of last year started around June. A lot of people frowned against it, but they were able to have their way. But as we speak, we can't have the same that was extended from June, now move again to December, now running for 18 months of cycle. So I think we need to go back to drawing board if we must continue. And every day we go out to talk about winning direct investment into the country when they don't have that confidence in our fiscal policy that can actually upturn and change over time. I think it's an area that they need to look into. As far as I'm concerned, I have not seen this happening as a finance person, and it's not the best way to go if we must actually place ourselves in the global space and operating in the global best practice, except they have every other reason behind it. If it is the medium term, then we should start adjusting our law to say our budget will not be the 12-month cycle, but now 18 to 24 months that they are.
Sorry to interject. I was going to just pick up something you said by asking your thoughts on Senator Adiola's position. He explained that the extension was required to allow the completion of ongoing projects captured in the 2024 budget. I'd like your thoughts on that. And separately, I would also want you to speak on what could be the rationale for proposing and approving budgets that we then find problems in funding and implementing.
Okay, well, speaking to the first one, Senator Adiola is a senior colleague, and I want to believe the rationale I am yet to factor in. Possibly they will explain much more better to us. If it's in the area of completing some of the ongoing projects that we have, I think my colleagues spoke to something. It speaks so much to our indiscipline in the area of our finances, which we looked at how and what are we, why are we approving budget that we know we can't fund, knowing fully well that we don't have the capability of carrying that out. And in budget, you see, there are ways you move a particular project that you have in this particular year, consolidating it in the year to the current year of operation, to say these are things that were actually transferred from the old financial year into this year, which is ongoing because of financial crisis that could not be able to achieve that. Because I asked myself the question, when we know that the 2024 budget was not fully implemented, which a lot of us have been asking, that the performance of every budget of our nation every year is below expectation. Why did we go ahead approving the 2025 and allowing two budgets to be running concurrently? We can come with the notion that there won't be preparation for 2025 budget because we want to go ahead with the execution.
I'm told we're out of time, but I just wanted to chip in, Mr. Okwade, but that would also be a problem in itself if a year's budget is skipped for another year. Wouldn't it? In 10 seconds, please.
Yeah, it will, and that's why we say we need to discipline and follow through whatever we have actually put before the people to actually carry out a thing, a particular fiscal year.
That's a good spot to leave this conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Simon and Mr. Okwade, for your time on the news.
Thank you.
Coming up tonight, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar stripped of Waziri Adamawa title. We'll have details after the break. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Senate further extends implementation of 2024 capital budget from June 30th to December 31st, 2025. 1 week, one trouble. Social Democratic Party suspends national chairman over allegations of financial misconduct. And fragile peace in the Middle East as Israel and Iran agree to ceasefire amid backlash from President Trump. Thank you for being here. The Social Democratic Party, SDP, has suspended its national chairman, Shehu Gambam, over allegations of financial misconduct. Gambam was suspended alongside National Auditor Nnamdi Clarkson and National Youth Leader Uchechukwu Chukwuma. In a statement released on Tuesday, the SDP's National Publicity Secretary, Rufus Ayinigba, said the suspensions were based on grave allegations of embezzlement, misappropriation, and diversion of party funds. He said the decision was taken under Article 19, subsection 1, 3A, and 5 of the party's 2022 Constitution as amended. Ayingba added that the decision followed a resolution reached at a meeting of the National Working Committee where overwhelming evidence was presented against the three officials. Meanwhile, fresh report says a group of armed thugs allegedly loyal to the suspended officers stormed the national headquarters of the party in Abuja on Tuesday and unleashed violence on journalists and party staff. Away from that, let's now tell you that the Adamawa state government has stripped former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the title of Waziri Adamawa, effectively removing him as second in command to the Lamido of Adamawa. The title of Waziri was bestowed on the former Vice President in 2017 by the Adamawa Emirate Council, making him the most senior kingmaker in the Emirate and top advisor to the Lamido. But the latest circular, dated 19th June and signed by Felicity Adama, Permanent Secretary in the Department of Chieftaincy Affairs, conveyed Governor Adamu Fintiri's directive that non-indigents should no longer hold traditional titles outside their native domains. According to the circular, all members of Kingmakers Councils must be indigents of designated districts outside the Vice President's local government area. It's more than 2 months and still counting. Classrooms in public primary schools across the Federal Capital Territory have remained empty. Teachers under the Nigerian Union of Teachers have downed tool, raising concerns that pupils may miss out on the entire third term. News Central's correspondent Sumaya Abubakar visited some of the affected schools.
I am standing in front of one of the public primary schools here in the FCT, and normally at this hour, the school will be buzzing with children's voices and learning activities. But today, as with many others, it is locked and deserted. Now, the strike by the Nigerian Union of Teachers, the NUT, continues, and the consequences are mounting.
For the third month running, public primary school teachers remain on strike across the FCT. Their demands include 9 months of minimum wage arrears, 40% peculiar allowance, salary increase arrears, a 35,000 naira wage award for 6 months, promotion and annual increment arrears, teacher upgrades since 2018, and a health insurance scheme, all owed by the area councils. In this school in Garki, the gates are locked. Also in Karu, classrooms remain short. Parents who once relied on these institutions are now left frustrated.
This is my work. I'm a tailor. So I don't have money to go, to take my children to private schools. They should remain at home, which is very, very bad. Every day, if I wake up in the morning, seeing them lying down, I'm telling you, it's only God that know how I'm feeling in my heart.
We are not happy. We are the masses. We are suffering. The things are too much for us. So we are begging the government and all other people, officials that are responsible for this, to help and look into the teachers' needs. Give them what they want so that they will go back to school, so that our children can be in the school.
The Nigeria Union for Teachers FCT chapter says implementation of their demands has been slow, with little commitment shown by key authorities.
We continue to look at the situation. Is it that the government has haven't they gotten priorities for education? For them to have allowed teachers to remain at home for close to 3 months? No genuine efforts to show that they are trying to do something that teachers will be able to bring a shine of relief?
Efforts to reach area council officials were unsuccessful. The aide of the AMAC chairman, Kingsley Madaki, said only Algon Chair, the Ladi Chair, could speak, but refused to share his contact. He says that the Algon Chair is currently indisposed as all council chairmen are preparing for the APC primaries on Wednesday, June the 25th. Education experts warn that if the impasse is not resolved quickly, primary school pupils may lose the entire third term, a disruption that could affect their academic progression.
The primary school teacher today in FCT and Nigeria at large is seen as a nobody because of the nonchalant attitude of the government towards primary school education. And I want to make a call.
President Bola Tinubu has commissioned the right-hand service carriageway of the inner Northern Expressway at the Idu district of Abuja. The president, who was represented by the deputy president of the Senate, Barau Jibrin, says that the 16-kilometer road is proof of commitment of the current administration to providing the much-needed infrastructure necessary to decongest key junctions within the FCT and facilitate safer and faster movement of residents.
It has become imperative for continuous expansion and maintenance of critical routes. This road will not only decongest key junctions, but also facilitate safer, faster movement within Abuja's transportation corridors. It will open up more opportunities for businesses, housing, and investment in the adjoining districts. It is quite apt to say that projects like these are a testament to what we can achieve when planning, execution, and leadership aligned with purpose. We are determined to replicate this success in every part of the country with roads, bridges, railways, and more, ensuring that no region is left behind.
Road infrastructure is the driver of any economic growth. Investors will come when there are roads. If there are no roads, no investor will come, because their duty is not to come and do roads for you. You are to provide the basic infrastructure.
The Imo State House of Assembly has endorsed President Bola Tinubu and Governor Hope Uzodinma for the 2027 presidential and governorship elections in the state. The endorsement comes after Governor Uzodinma's address at a plenary session presided over by the Assembly Speaker in Owerri, the Imo State capital. New Central's correspondent Austin Hazel has the report.
Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State returns to the State House of Assembly, this time not for the annual budget presentation, but for a State of the State address before the lawmakers.
It is indeed a great honor to stand before you once again to address you on the state of affairs in our dear state, Imo.
Governor Uzodinma outlined his achievements in both human and capital developments, with emphasis on infrastructural developments, industrialization, power supply, economic developments, among others.
Today, Imo boasts of one of the most extensive and impactful road networks in Nigeria. Without sounding immodest, we have constructed more roads than all previous administrations since 1999 combined. To date, we have completed over 120 roads across the state. In the past 18 months alone, we have delivered 37 brand new roads.
The governor further revealed how he has grown the state's internally generated revenue, as well as reduced the inherited debt profile of the state to 23%.
Today, tax assessment notices, vehicle documentation, payment receipts, tax clearance certificates are all issued electronically, and their authenticity can be verified instantly online. This has drastically reduced leakages and manual bottlenecks. The impact is visible. Our monthly internally generated revenue has grown from the 300 million naira we met in 2020 to now over 4 billion naira a month in 2025. I am pleased to report that our administration has also reduced the state debt profile, which we met in the year 2020 at 259 billion naira in 2020. We have reduced the debt owned by Imo State when we come on board to a paltry sum of 99 billion naira now.
The Deputy Speaker of the House, Amara China Inwoyawu, in a surprising move, moved a motion endorsing President Bola Tinubu and Governor Hope Uzodinma as the sole candidates for the 2027 general elections in the states, and it was seconded by the Minority Leader, Prince Will Amuche.
Let it be resolved by the Honorable of the House to pass a vote of implicit confidence on the President and Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and to endorse his candidature for the 2027 presidential election. To pass a vote of implicit confidence on the Governor of Imo State, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Hope Uzodinma, and the ruling party in Nigeria, APC, for the outstanding role in the development of advancements of Imo State and our development.
In the days ahead, the governor's State of the State address will be analyzed by analysts, opinion leaders, and state residents who assess the impact of the governor's efforts across the states. In Owerri, for News Central, Austin Azu.
Many thanks, Austin. Now, outside our shores, U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday said that a ceasefire between Iran and Israel was holding shortly after he lashed out at both countries, accusing them of violating the truce. President Trump, who was on his way to attend a NATO summit in The Hague, posted to his Truth Social app that the ceasefire is in effect. If it holds, the truce would be a big political win for Trump in the wake of his risky decision to send U.S. bombers over the weekend to attack 3 nuclear facilities in Iran that Israel and the United States say were being used to build an atomic bomb in secret. Trump had said the truce would be a phased 24-hour process beginning at around 0400 GMT Tuesday, with Iran unilaterally halting all operations first. He said Israel would follow suit 12 hours later. Let's take a look at this. Alexander von Wugen is a policy analyst and site engineer. Thank you for giving us your time to speak on this matter. Before heading to that summit, the president told the press that he was particularly unhappy with Israel, which he said quickly violated the truce hours after it came into effect. Trump also said he does not seek regime change in Iran because he doesn't want to see chaos. From the look of things, will this ceasefire hold?
Well, we all hope it will, of course. The actions on the timing for the ceasefire being announced were really insignificant. The 2 missiles fired on Israel were taken out in the air, and the damage caused by Israel in a counterattack was took out a radar station in Tehran. There were no fatalities. In terms of Trump showing his dismay to Mr. Netanyahu, it's almost like good cop, bad cop. Trump wants to stay on good terms with Iran and especially his Middle Eastern partners. He used the opportunity to announce his disdain and then added that he's not supporting regime change. That's a very, very important statement because Mr. Netanyahu has expressly said he's not against the Iranian people, he's against the Iranian government, meaning he wants a regime change. It's a delicate subject for America because in 1953, America sponsored a regime change in Iran, deposing a duly democratically elected government that was nationalizing British and American oil interests and reinstalling the Shah as the leader of the country, which then ended very badly in 1979 in the Iranian Revolution. So he had to make that statement. It also supports Mr. Trump's statements in Saudi Arabia a little over a month ago, where he stated America's interest in the Middle East were not to govern or invade or control. They will do trade with any regime that is happy to do good business with America. And he wants to hold true to that. So he said a lot in that short statement to support other things he said over the last few weeks.
All right. Considering the fragility of the ceasefire, how appropriate was the Iranian president's address to the nation today, claiming they achieved a historic victory following the conflict which he described as imposed by Israel in celebration of the ceasefire and cessation of hostility in the 12-day war?
Well, what he's calling a victory is that they accomplished a ceasefire without acquiescing to the demands of stopping their nuclear program. This is not an unconditional surrender, which was demanded earlier by President Trump prior to his attack. So he needed to do this for national pride. He announced a victory, which I think in reasonable eyes, it certainly wasn't a victory of war. Maybe it was a victory of saving face. And in order to maintain that national pride, I think Iran has other problems of dissension within their own country. Okay. And he needs to stabilize that.
Let me squeeze this one in quickly. The White House maintains that the ceasefire deal was only possible due to the U.S. strike on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities on Saturday. Was that really the defining factor in your view?
No, not at all. These are multifaceted diplomatic processes. The military action is a show of force and strength, it can be the catalyst to reason. but you have diplomatic efforts, you have international input and mediation from other sources, and then you have the mutual interests of each country if they go further and continue the war. And I think those all were weighed out after the attack. If the attack was the catalyst to it happening, yes, it had a strong bearing on it, but it wasn't the complete reason that the ceasefire kicked in.
Alexander, thank you for speaking with us. Tonight returns with business, sports and entertainment news. Lekon joins me now for some top business stories. Lekon, what are we looking at?
Nigeria and Brazil have actually resolved to deepen diplomatic ties and increase the value along the critical sectors of each other's economy. So I'll tell you more after this time out. Nigeria and Brazil have begun the second session of the strategic dialogue mechanism in Abuja, marking a significant push to deepen bilateral relations. Brazil's Vice President, Geraldo Alckmin, accompanied by his wife and the delegation, was welcomed by Nigerian Vice President Kashim Shettima. The three-day summit will culminate in the signing of over 30 memoranda of understanding covering key areas such as defense, energy, transition, agricultural technology, cultural exchange, and trade facilitation. Officials say the initiative aligns with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda and aims to harness South-South cooperation for investment, technical support, and enhanced business engagement. Away from that, Qatar Airways and 4 of its top executives will be arraigned on October 7 by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and they're being accused of alleged breaches of Nigeria's consumer protection laws. The case, which was slated for hearing on Tuesday, was stalled due to improper service of court documents. Charges include failure to honor a lawful summons and, of course, withholding requested documents and, of course, contravening consumer rights violations under the FCCPC Act 2018. The Federal High Court in Abuja adjourned the case pending proper service of notices to the defendants, including CEO Temi Brazil. And looking at the equities market now, the NGX All-Share Index closed at 119,790.82 points, up 1.02%, pushing a market capitalization to about 75.58 trillion naira, and of course signaling strong investor confidence in Nigerian stocks. And talking about sectoral performance, well, the banking sector rose 0.94%, reflecting steady interest in financial stocks. Insurance edged 0.06%, showing cautious optimism. Oil and gas dropped 1.51%, likely due to global oil price volatility. And consumer goods gained 2.01%, indicating some sort of robust demand in retail and household sectors. While, of course, industrial goods was bullish with a 3.13% surge. And this actually suggests that investors are leaning toward stable sectors. That's all on business news. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
Tonight's sports news is with Favor Itwa. Favor, good to see you.
Yeah, same here, Felicity. I mean, lots of things happening in the world of sports. Victor Osimhen is in the news and about transfers, activities, and wishes, many more after this timeout. Former Nigerian international Odion Judigalo has expressed confidence in Victor Osimhen's ability to thrive wherever he decides to move next in his career. Speaking in an exclusive interview with News Central, Igalo described Osimhen as a player with strong mindset who will make well-considered decisions that benefit him both professionally and personally. With ongoing speculation about Osimhen's future, including links to top European clubs and Saudi Arabian teams, Igalo believes the Super Eagles striker possesses the talent and mentality to succeed in any league.
Agent calling every day, people talking, the media and all that, but I think Victor is mentally strong because he has gone through challenges in his life, even at his age, and he has overcome them. He knows what he wants. He knows what we were together 2 days ago.
And now to fencing, Nigerian-Malaysian siblings Mahadi Maktil and Sarah Wari are determined to make Nigeria proud as they compete at the 23rd African Fencing Championships, which begins tomorrow at the Charterhouse, Lagos. Though based in Malaysia, the trio proudly represent Nigeria, driven by deep cultural roots and a shared passion for fencing. The journey began through a school program and has been fueled by strong family support, leading them to compete in several major international competitions. Now selected as part of Nigeria's 12-member squad, the Warib siblings are focused on delivering strong performances and winning medals.
I started fencing at a really young age. At first, I started a couple different sports such as swimming, gymnastics, and tennis. But then I was introduced to play fencing, and at first I was like, this sport was really fun. It's a lot of, you learn about new things, your focus, your discipline. And then as time goes, I just realized that I want to pursue and do my best in this sport.
I initially started fencing when I was at primary school because I was still doing karate at that time, but I saw my friends doing it and I think, oh wow, you know what? Let me just try it for fun and see where it goes. And look at that, I'm right here.
And to wrap up sports update, Nigeria's Tobi Iloba Muson continued her fine form as she stormed to a victory in the women's 100-meter hurdles at the Ostrava Golden Spike in Czechia on Tuesday evening, clocking an impressive 12.45 seconds. The 28-year-old was in league of her own, powering well ahead of her closest challengers, Victoria Foster of Slovakia, who placed second in 12.74 seconds, and Ireland's Sarah Lavin third in 12.76 seconds. This latest win comes just days after Muson's eye-catching performance at the Diamond League meet in Paris, where she ran a season's best of 12.24 seconds to finish second in a highly competitive field. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. And Favor Itwa tonight continues with Felicity.
Some dandies here with the latest in entertainment. Some dandy, what are we looking at?
Starboy.
I'm thinking of a song, actually.
Oh, what song comes to mind?
The boy is mine.
Oh my goodness, you're excited. Of course, that is true. At the continent, Brandy and Monica have announced a joint tour, and Wizkid is in the news. I'll tell you all about it after this quick break.
All right.
In entertainment, Afrobeats icon Wizkid delivered a stunning performance at a sold-out Hollywood Bowl concert, thrilling fans with an orchestral rendition of his classic hits and song from his latest album, Morayo. The event, which featured a surprise appearance by Ashake for their collaboration MMS, followed the premiere of Wizkid's documentary, Love Live Lagos, at the Tribeca Film Festival. Now, the film traces his journey from Lagos to global stardom and featured appearances from industry figures like Femi Kuti. Now, with recent tour cancellations, fans are hopeful that the concert signals a return to seeing Wizkid on stage as he continues to solidify his legacy, of course, in the global scene. This performance, I have to play a bit of it. Wizkid and, of course, Ashake. No doubt African stars are doing it across the globe. But hey, let's go out the continent. Brandy and Monica are officially reuniting for a historic moment in R&B history, okay? Now, they've called this tour The Boy Is Mine, marking 25 years since their iconic duet topped the charts back in, 13 weeks. The legendary singers are launching their first ever co-headlining arena tour across 24 cities, starting in October the 16th in Cincinnati and wrapping up in December 7th in Houston, Texas. Now, the tour follows renewed buzz after their classic hit, sparked by its feature, yes, Ariana Grande's 2024 video and the viral remix that earned a fresh Grammy nomination. Fans can also expect star power from special guests, including Kelly Rowland, Moody Long, and American Idol 2025 winner Jamal Roberts. I can't lie, I'm pretend to be Gen Z, but even I know the boy is mine.
The boy is mine. If you didn't rock to this song in Nigeria and around the world, you didn't enjoy your
Do you think a lot of people will be excited to see them come together
yes.
for this?
And when they say black don't crack, this is what they mean.
I like that.
These ladies weren't born yesterday,
True.
but look at how, they still are. They're still relevant today, still making good music.
Right.
I'm looking forward to this one. If I had money, I probably would go.
You know what? I'm hoping that, Nigerian stars, of course, can also enjoy this longevity. And we'll see Wizkid performing in Hollywood, 20 years from now. Well, those are the biggest stories in entertainment. I am Sam Dandy.
Finally, and tonight, the Nigerian police says that it has arrested 26 persons and retrieved several weapons in connection with the killings of 47 people in Yelawata, Benue State, which also left many injured and hundreds displaced. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, made this known while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, adding that another 22 suspects have also been arrested in connection with an attack on travelers in Plateau State, where 9 people were killed and several others injured. The IG, while condemning the growing spate of violence across the country, assured that the police will not relent in its efforts to restore law and order to troubled areas.
On 19th June, 2 prime suspects who were masterminds of this attack were apprehended from their hideout. This arrest led to the arrest of 7 other suspects the following day, 20/06/25. They were picked up from their various locations where they had fled, hoping to evade justice. On 21st June, another key suspect, in whose house the initial meeting to plan the attack was held, was also arrested. On 22nd June, a major breakthrough was recorded with the arrest of 18 other suspects who directly took part in the killings. Similarly, on 22nd of June 2025, a heartbreaking incident occurred in Mangu, Plateau State, where a bus conveying passengers from Zaria was stopped and attacked by a mob. Tragically, 9 of the passengers were murdered and 3 sustained injuries before our teams could intervene and rescue the remaining 22 suspects.
That's all we have for you tonight. But before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories. The Senate has further extended implementation of 2024 capital budget from June 30th to December 31st, 2025. The Social Democratic Party has suspended its national chairman over allegations of financial misconduct. We also told you that a fragile peace is in the Middle East as Israel and Iran agree to ceasefire amid backlash from President Trump. Do send us your eyewitness report. The number to do that is on your screen. You can also share information by following us on all our social media platforms at News Central TV. You can keep tabs on the news. Watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for your time. Have a good night rest.